I will now call the March 31st, 2025 Allotment Committee to meeting to order. This agenda was posted in compliance with the open meeting law, and all members are in attendance with the exception of Robert Yoder. A quorum is established. Please join me in standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is the initial public comment period. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. Each person has up to 3 minutes to speak on a specific agenda item. The public may call 702-589-9629 to provide public comment. Seeing and hearing no one, we will close this first public comment period. Agenda item 1 for possible action, approval of the minutes of the January 6, 2025 meeting. Do I have a motion for approval?
I motion for approval of the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the motion is unanimously approved. Next is agenda item 2 for possible action. AFDA 25-198, an application for 12 residential allotments at the 1401 Medical Park Drive for construction year 2024-25 pursuant to Title 11, Chapter 41 of the City Code, River Run Senior Apartments. Staff, your report.
Good afternoon, Allotment Committee members. Michael Mays, your Community Development Director and Acting City Manager. The homestead at Boulder City was built in 1998 as a 72-unit assisted living facility. 1401 Medical Park Drive Apartments, LLC, purchased the property in 2024 and is converting it into a senior apartment complex called River Run Senior Apartments. 12 of the 72 units were exempt from the allotment requirements when they were added to the property in 2003. But now that the project's being converted to a senior apartment project, they require allotments. Planning Commission verified zoning compliance for this project in February with the approval of a conditional use as it relates to density, as well as granting a variance for the minimum unit size. Staff does not believe the conversion to senior apartments will have any impact on city facilities or operations. So far this construction year, 15 allotments out of 120 have been granted. Because this application is for an existing development and not a subdivision, we believe that several of the criteria in which you will utilize to score this project do not apply to the 12 units. Therefore, staff is recommending that the committee make a motion to remove from criteria consideration numbers 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And for your reference, I have put on the dais a copy of the scoring sheet, and I've highlighted those criteria that really are for a typical residential development subdivision and not so much for a senior housing project. I can answer any questions, as well as Aubrey Powell, who is representing the applicant and who's on the line.
Could I ask, those 12 units, will they all include a full kitchen, refrigerator, range, oven, sink? for kitchen?
We'll have the applicant answer that question, but I do know the intent is for every one of the units within this complex to be an apartment, so it would have kitchen and bedroom.
And then is there a laundry facility sufficient for all the units in the building?
I know the applicant's intending to do that, but we could have the applicant kind of briefly describe the project to you.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
A little louder?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Aubrey.
Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry guys, it's snowing up here in Reno, so I think the weather is maybe messing with our technology a little bit. Good evening, Allotment Committee members. Yes, just to answer that first question, yes, all of these units, that are in the 12 units that we're asking for the allotments for, they do have kitchenettes. They're intended to be a fully self-serving individual unit for the seniors that we are hoping to have move into the facility. I do want to add as well, the property is really unique. 40% of it is actually considered shared space, which typically in an apartment complex you would see more 5 to 10% shared space. So in addition to these individual units, which do have their own kitchenettes, bathrooms, everything you would need for your own self-sustaining unit, we do have those common area amenities, which also does include an additional a back outdoor courtyard barbecue space, a shared kitchen and eating space for those who are interested in sharing spaces with people while they eat. There's a movie and a media screening room, an atrium, lounge areas with sitting areas and TVs. Obviously, they can also lounge and watch TV in their own individual units, but there's a fitness center, there are laundry facilities, there's a Zoom room that will be set up for residents to Zoom with family members who don't live locally. So there are a lot of amenities in this facility as well, in addition to their own individual units.
And another question I had was concerning the parking. I know you're one space short just for one space per unit. I think there's a couple people that have campers there, probably in addition to a car. And what about guest parking or if there's any type of staff there? Is there sufficient parking for them?
So through the conditional use permit, we did have to satisfy all of the parking requirements, which is for senior housing, it is one space per dwelling unit. So we did actually add in 2 additional parking spaces. So we actually have 73 parking spaces now. And so under code, we are within, we have met that requirement. As far as campers and anything like that, I don't know what the facility's individual, their policies are on parking campers, camper vans and things like that. But I can certainly look into that and give you that information. But my understanding is through code, we have met the parking requirement.
Okay, so if someone needed maintenance or something, they may have a little bit of trouble finding a spot. Okay.
Mike, I have a question for you. Why were the 12 exempted originally?
Because previously with assisted care facilities, it was at that time exempt from the code requiring allotment. But now that it is going to be a senior apartments, all apartments require allotments. Because it was formerly an assisted living facility.
Right. Basically, we're not creating any new units. We're just transforming the way that they're operating,
That is correct.
basically, from a care unit to individual apartments with less care, I would assume. Right?
Yes, normally, when you have a development and it converts, you get the credit for all of the units that received allotments previously. But in this case, those 12 didn't have to back in 2003, and that's why they're before you today.
You know if that was a memory care unit before, the 500?
Yes, Wing 500 was the memory care unit. So those additional 12 units were added on several years after the facility opened, and it was intended to be the memory care unit.
Probably why they were smaller then, like up 300 some square feet.
I had a question about the dining room. It's really not so much about the allotments, but are there people there cooking during the day? Like, are people allowed to use the dining room? Is there somebody providing food?
I don't believe, because it is an independent living, so these are senior citizens from the age of 55 and up. They are not, my understanding is that they're not providing food. It is entirely an independent living facility. So the shared dining room kitchen is kind of intended to be another social opportunity for the residents who live there. The applicant has, determined that a lot of times our senior citizens crave that kind of social interaction with their neighbors, and so they focused a lot on providing opportunities for that. And that was, the dining room is an option for those who do want to share a meal with their neighbors. They can cook together. It doesn't have to be their individual units if they don't want to, and then they can also eat together. So, but I do not believe that there is catering being provided.
So they can use the kitchen?
Yes, yeah.
Will there be any staff on site to facilitate these activities, let's say coordinating who gets to cook, and are there activities that are part of the amenities of this unit? I mean, you're basically saying that you're smaller units, but you have all these amenities and things that enhance that?
Yes, so they do have full-time staff who work on the site and, assist the residents with everything from, like I said, there's a Zoom room, so it's a room intended for those who, don't have family members that live locally or friends that don't live locally. There's a movie and media screening room, and these staff members are there to facilitate that, and, they've got 24-hour emergency maintenance. So it's kind of like an apartment complex where you have those amenities and you have, your leasing office with the staff members who work there and are facilitating the residents and getting together and doing all of those things with your standard kind of, maintenance help as well.
May I ask, is it still a lockdown facility from 9 to 6?
So it's not a lockdown facility because it is independent living, but it is a fully secured building. So that's a great question. Now, I don't know if there's a certain time of day where then you do need your key card to get in, but there is no lockdown as far as residents can come and go as they please. But after a certain time, they do need to have their fob to get in the building. So it is a secured facility, but they can come and go as they want because it is an independent facility.
So they are still allowed to leave after 9 p.m.?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they are fully independent seniors coming and going as they please, yes.
Thank you.
So what kind of transportation options do they have from the facility itself? You're kind of tucked in there a little bit. So in order to get public transportation, where's the nearest public transportation?
I think Michael had some.
Yeah, so they are eligible for paratransit because they're within 3/4 of a mile of a fixed bus route, which is along Adams, and that's only 900 feet to the north of the complex.
Who could address the cost? It said reasonable cost, and I was just curious what the apartments were going to rent for. Has that been determined?
So right now, so in the wing that we're talking about with the 12 units, 11 of those units are the studios, and those are renting for around $970. And there is one 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom in there. So there's 3 2-bedroom, 2 bathrooms in the whole facility, but one of them is located in this wing, and that's renting for $1,600. I think that's what they're shooting for. I did want to add that it's been shared with me from the applicant that all of the other 60 units, the units that we're not here for tonight, have been fully leased up. They've been renovating the facility. Those are all fully leased up, and they do have a wait list for these 12 remaining units. Obviously, they're not opening up that wait list, they're not opening up the leasing process. So there is a ton of interest in these units. My understanding from them is that the studios themselves are actually the ones that most of the seniors seem to be interested in. It's probably a more efficient living space, less expensive and a lot less maintenance and work for them, cleaning and all of those things. So I do anticipate that this facility, we'll see, I would be surprised if it's not at 100% occupancy very soon.
So at the current time, there's no residents in the building at all, right? It's just
Now that
being
you've
renovated?
permitted the other units, because we got the conditional use permit and the variance, and those already have allotments designated to them through completion of the renovations. They are leasing those, but these 12, because we don't have the allotments, we can't lease them.
Are there any more questions for the applicant?
Actually, I do have one more. How about accessibility, wheelchair accessibility? Is that good for all of these 12
Yes.
units?
Yes, absolutely. And
Perfect.
I think what has made this facility already so accessible is the fact that it was an assisted living facility before. So naturally, a facility of that nature is going to be accessible when you've got, those who need a lot of assistance. So it is fully accessible. Everything's on one level. The flow is really nice for the residents. Kind of those communal spaces are very ADA, obviously they apply or they meet ADA standards, but they're also very ADA friendly for those who are in wheelchairs.
Any further questions?
Nope.
All right, so with regard to what Mr. Mays mentioned about the removing of the several criteria, do I have a motion to amend the criteria used for this evaluation to remove items 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9?
I'll make that movement.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. The motion has been approved unanimously. So staff, what are the next steps?
Next step is to score the project. So you have in front of you a scoring sheet. With those highlighted in yellow, you would just ignore putting a score with each of those. So you're going to focus on 1, 2, and 5. You have maximum points for each of those, and then you would fill in what you think is appropriate in terms of the score. Keep in mind that for projects to be able to receive allotments, they need to receive a minimum of 70% score overall for the project. And then when you're done, please fill it out at the bottom and then pass them to the end of the dais, and then I will quickly tally the results and then would be looking for a motion to adopt that score for the project.
Mr. Mays, are we supposed to do it on the one with the yellow or the one with the white, or does it matter? Doesn't. Okay, thank you.
All right, the score is tallied, and the average score is 78.2857%. We have to go out 4 decibels for the growth control ordinance. So 78.2857.
I move to forward AFDA 25-198 to the City Council for 12 residential allotments for construction year 24-25 with a rating of 78.2857.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Motion is approved unanimously. Now is the final public comment period for the evening. The public may call 702-589-9629, and the public has up to 3 minutes to speak on any topic. Hearing no one else, we will close the final public comment period. This meeting is adjourned.